My name is Patrick Smith with Gun Safe Academy in Omaha, Nebraska, and the YouTube channel Cure for Ignorance. Talking very briefly today about gun safety and about range safety. Usually when I ask someone about how do you treat a firearm, I get the response, you always treat a firearm like it's loaded. To me that has limited benefit, especially for new shooters. Experienced shooters understand what that means, new shooters don't. If you've never picked up a firearm before, you don't know how to treat it. Treating it like loaded doesn't really tell you how to treat that firearm. The three safety rules I give shooters is taken from the NRA. They all be going through it always. And the first is always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction. Okay, so it's in the holster. That's a safe gun. Okay, any pistol in the holster is a safe firearm. The safest way to carry any pistol is in a holster that covers the trigger. So it's in the holster, and the holster covers the trigger. I'm not worried about that firearm. When the gun's in your hand, when you're drawing the firearm or you're holstering the firearm, it's very important that when you draw the firearm that you don't sweep your own foot, your own leg, your own waist, your own chest, your own head. You don't sweep it out like this, so you sweep the leg of the guy next to you. Because typically when we're doing the concealed carry class, we have between 6 and 10 shooters in the line, and it's very important that you control your muzzle so you're not sweeping the shooters next to you. As you draw that firearm, you want to make sure, again, you're not sweeping anybody's leg, anybody's body. You're going to come together at 45 degrees, two-handed shooting grip there. You're going to come up to the target to shoot, back to 45, and back to the holster. So this 90-degree arc is all the gun should move through. Okay? It's very important when you're done shooting that you don't let the gun drop like this. A lot of people do that. I don't know, they treat the gun like it's a bowling ball. They swing, let it go with this hand and just let it swing free. Very important that you control your own muzzle. I tell people a lot of times that your main job here is to control your own muzzle on the range. We have a really good sized berm on the back of the range there, so you have to shoot about like this, even at 10 yards, to miss the berm, miss the trees, and hit somebody's house. Okay, but obviously if that happens, I don't have a range anymore. So it's very important to me that the gun never goes above the target. Always keep the gun pointed in a safe direction means that no matter if the gun goes off or not, if the gun goes off, if it's pointed in a safe direction, that means it's not going to damage property and it's not going to injure anyone. Okay. Obviously, this rule gets modified a little bit for defensive carry because if you need to point the gun at the person who's attacking you in order to do any good. Okay. So you don't point the gun at anything you're not willing to kill or to destroy. Okay, because guns put holes in things. Be careful with where the muzzle's pointing. Second rule of safe gun handling is always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. So when you draw that firearm out of the holster, your finger needs to be up on the frame. And when you're at 45 degrees of the ground, your finger should be on the frame. And even when you're on target, your finger stays on the frame until your eye focuses on your front sight. So the target and the rear sight should look fuzzy to you. The front sight should be nice and sharp and clear. You look through the back sight at the front sight, put the front sight on the target, focus your eye on the front sight, and then and only then do you touch your trigger. You fire your rounds and your finger comes back off the trigger before you come off target. That's the second rule of safe gun handling. Always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. The third rule of safe gun handling is always keep the firearm unloaded until you're ready to use it. Okay, and I get comments sometimes about this on YouTube videos too, because they say, well, defensive carry. You're telling people to carry the gun unloaded, the magazine in their pocket, and the gun empty. No, if you're carrying the gun defensively, you're ready to use it. The gun needs to be loaded for that. It's in the nightstand while you're sleeping. It needs to be loaded because it's ready to use right now. Obviously, and we get into this a little bit with my storing guns thing. When you're storing the gun, it needs to be stored separate from ammunition. But when the gun's ready to use, it does you no good if it's not locked and loaded. Locked means one magazine in the mag well. Loaded means one in the chamber. Okay, ready to go. The definition of a handgun is a firearm designed to be held and fired with one hand. So you need to be able to draw it. Whatever safety you have on there, you need to disengage it and put it into the fight with one hand because this hand's busy fighting for your life. Okay. So again, always keep the gun pointing in a safe direction, or for those of you that prefer, always never point the gun at something that you're not willing to destroy or put a hole in. Second rule is always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And third is always keep the firearm unloaded until you're ready to use it. Nice thing about this is that these three rules, again, spell out for you very clearly the way you should be handling the firearm. And you have to break all three rules in order for there to be an accident. Okay, I've been shooting for about 23 years now, going on 24 years. I've never had a negligent discharge in my life. Never fired the gun when I didn't mean to. Never a negligent discharge in my life. But these 3 safety rules, I'll demonstrate them for you really quick here. Why it's true when I say you have to break all 3 in order there to be an accident. If they have the gun pointed in an unsafe direction, and I have my finger on the trigger, but there's no ammunition in the gun, and I pull the trigger, nothing happens. No one gets hurt because I followed one of the rules. The gun's empty. If I have the gun pointed in an unsafe direction and there's ammunition in the firearm, when my finger's off the trigger, the gun's not going to go off and no one gets hurt. If they have the gun pointed in a safe direction, the gun is loaded and my finger's on the trigger and I fire the gun, no one gets hurt because it's pointed in a safe direction. You have to break all 3 in order for there to be an accident. So if you religiously try to follow all 3, even if you miss 2, you're not going to have an accident. But follow all 3 all the time and you're never going to have a firearms related accident. Okay? Alright, a little bit about range safety. Besides the 3 rules I just gave you, it's very important that you follow the verbal commands and the whistle commands of the instructors whose range you are on. Okay? It's very important. They want you to stay lockstep with everybody else, that you follow commands as they are given. If they have rules about how to clear malfunctions on their range, you need to follow those rules. Instructors and range safety officers are there to make sure no one gets accidentally injured and to make sure that nobody dies. So it's very important, if it's their ground, their range, their class, you follow their rules. Okay? I've had classes that I've taken where they wanted me to orient my magazines in a different way from what I'm used to. I disagreed with the method, but while I was on their range, I followed their rules, and I really don't care if I got some kind of technical thing that I tell somebody and they decide to do it differently after they leave the range. But while they're on the range, they do it my way. I had somebody ask my father one time, is that the right way or is that your way? And his line was, in this classroom there is no distinction. Again, the range safety officers and the instructors on the range have final say over how you handle that firearm, as do the owners of the ground that you're shooting on. Okay? So your local gun club, the instructor, the range safety officer, follow their rules, follow their commands on the line, and besides that, follow those 3 safety rules, and you're never going to have an accident, you're never going to have a negligent discharge, and you're going to stay safe. That concludes this video. Keep an eye out for the next 2 videos, how to clear malfunctions on the range, and how to clear malfunctions during a defensive encounter. Like the video if you liked it, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thanks for watching.